let's talk about this whole situation, fam. Because and Johnny, I also put some things in the bottom of the folder, like just 3 small areas of where I wanted to talk about the positive things from Project Veritas. Even though they have had some negative things, fam, we know for sure that Project Veritas has tried to slant some of their stories. They're obviously a Republican outlet. I always said they're the Republican WikiLeaks of sorts. Much lower.
Yeah.
But they've had some whistleblowers and people come forth to them.
Right.
And in fact, we'll talk about that. But let's talk about what Tulsi Gabbard said and really work this out.
So there was a literal meltdown the last couple days over Tulsi Gabbard, as if Tulsi Gabbard is running for president, as if Tulsi Gabbard has been campaigning for Joe Biden endlessly. I don't know if somebody has. As if Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know what she did. She ate somebody's baby. But the people have literally had a meltdown. Of course, it's the usual suspects that have had this meltdown. So this is what she said. She said, she retweeted her own tweet where she was talking about banning ballot harvesting is not a partisan issue. We talked about this before. It's been used and abused in states like North Carolina and California, and it's ripe for fraud. This is why I introduced H.R. 8285, the Election Fraud Prevention Act, with Rodney Davis to protect the integrity of our elections and our democracy. I believe he's a Republican.
He is.
Yeah. Okay. So Project Veritas is, as Pasta described, well, we can get into that in a minute, but basically she said, Project Veritas offers further evidence of the need to ban ballot harvesting. It's not a partisan issue. It's been abused to help both Republicans and Democrat candidates, including the North Carolina and California. Please help by telling your congressional rep to pass our bipartisan bill, H.R. 8285.
And by the way, Carolina is a situation where they found Republicans doing ballot harvesting of sorts. You know what I'm saying? So she is pointing out both sides, like we're not partisan. In California, we do this. We do it here too as well. It's like
we
it's
did
like
it
a normal
to multiple
practice,
progressive
but we talk
candidates.
about it. It's not good for the chain of custody. It really is a shot at the chain of custody, and you can't do that.
And it's used against progressives. This is what irritates me the most. This crap. Is ballot harvesting my main issue on election integrity? No, it's not. I think Tulsi. I would love to talk to Tulsi about what the bigger issues are with the machines and open source and all of these other things that to me are much higher. Like, you can do so much more damage very quickly than ballot harvesting. And also ballot harvesting, in this sense, I'm talking about the parties exploiting it. I do not blame it on the voter. Half the time the voter isn't doing this. More than half the time. This isn't voter fraud. We're talking about election fraud. So I want to make that clear. Now, she mentioned Project Veritas. Okay. She literally just said Project Veritas offers further evidence of the need. She didn't say, I love Project Veritas. I think Project Veritas is my best friend. I agree with everything they say. She also didn't say the words, Project Veritas is right about Ilhan Omar's smears, which a lot of you have claimed, by the way, and we're going to go over that. But I just want to point out, she literally just said they offered further evidence because they did, because this is real. I don't like Project Veritas. I was completely not as psyched to have even Zach Voorhees on because he came from Project Veritas. But
that's where he dumped his information,
right. But they do and their spin narrative on the protests and all that stuff is completely bullshit. It's right. It's the same propaganda that I always fight on, because I attend the protest and we attend the protest and we know what really that narrative is completely wrong, and they spew a lot of false information. So I understand people not being like, okay, well, maybe she didn't have to mention them. Yeah, you're right. She didn't have to mention them. Was it a good idea? No, I don't think it was a good idea strategy wise to mention them in the hyper partisan country that we're in right now. But I didn't really see her mention anything other than they did this thing. They showed evidence here.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything emotional. It was like, here it is. This is what they showed.
Yeah. And the next one?
So we already mentioned the North Carolina election official that alleged illegal ballot harvesting in a key House race. And as Pasta mentioned, this was Republicans doing it. Correct?
Yep.
Exactly. So how is she being like a Republican by mentioning Republicans doing the rigging? So this is also what she did, where people were psyched out after the whole thing. Yeah. So she went on Instagram and mentioned she said, thanks, Instagram. Now we can all be as cool as my friend Dan Crenshaw because Instagram has a filter and she's cool. I think she looks like a post-apocalyptic, like person from, what is it, The Walking Dead?
She looks like Dan Crenshaw.
Well, yeah.
I mean, everybody's kind of hitting that once again. Yeah. Well, the thing I want to talk about in this situation is that, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this and stuff. Does it just because something comes from the right, does it mean that it's automatically wrong or evil or whatnot? I mean, at what point do we say that there could be some good ideology sometimes that comes from the right? I don't think they're evil all the time. I think they're wrong most of the time. The ideology, obviously, I'm more on the left than them and stuff like that, but I don't think we should excuse anything just because it comes from the right. You know what I'm saying?
Credibility, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The fact that they've been wrong on all the police stuff, maybe they're wrong on this stuff too.
Yeah.
And wrong about the whole communists and Sanders campaign and shit.
Absolutely.
So it's like if they're wrong on all this stuff, then maybe they could also be wrong
they don't
shit.
have great credibility. But this is my point. It's like that's why I don't think it was wise of her to mention them because they don't have great credibility. But at the same time, it's all she did was mention them. So the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Like the reactions that people are having doesn't really
She should mention the Convo couch and Raji Rob's lawsuit.
Yeah, she should mention better sources.
Well, but in this particular case, I think she was just showing the video, what we saw with the ballots. That, you know what I'm saying? There are situations, like I said, where they've had video where you can't kind of dispute it. It's just like,
there's a video. Yeah. Well, they do doctor the videos a lot. So I understand people like being like, well, this is like not reliable. Again, if it's an unreliable source and you mention it, you're going to get, But there are instances where they have like exposed things like regarding the CNN and Russiagate and etc.
PragerU did this.
Yeah, so hold on. So I just wanted to say regarding the if everything from the right is bad. Well, I mean, I think you have to assess that. I don't think you can make a universal blanket statement. But if it's something like regarding race and all of that, that's going to be hard for people to be like, okay, well, let me sit down and talk to you about that. Because
but why do they have to tie the race into something like the situation, what they're doing right now?
Because that's the overbearing ideology right now that's a lot of it is coming from the right is a dismissal of racial issues. So that's why it can't be ignored, but that doesn't mean that you can make a blanket statement and say that every person on the right is completely a fascist. And I feel like that's what a lot of the Dem suck left is doing. And we saw that conversation with Glenn Greenwald and the editor of the Jacobin too. Because remember when Sagar was talking about the right-wing populism, it's the same thing that keeps coming up. But Tulsi Gabbard is a person that's always reached across the aisle, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that too because that was her whole campaign. PragerU fam literally took her video on ballot harvesting, literally reposted it as their own tweet, and then what happened? Oh, Tulsi's working with PragerU. Look, she's working with PragerU. They were saying that she literally has a job with them, that it didn't take long. Like, we're going to post all these tweets that were made. I like justice and fairness. This isn't even about Tulsi to me because people are going to say, oh, Pasta loves Tulsi. You've defended Tulsi. No, this is about honesty. This is about the truth because I hate it when I see double standards and I hate it when I see fucking people literally lie. Put out literal lies when that's not what happened. She didn't tweet anything. PragerU took her video and posted that. PragerU is a right-wing source again. A lot of inconsistencies in the reporting, completely anti-BLM, all these things that are happening, right? And so you guys know how I feel about the police brutality situation. I'm not defending that at all. I am simply saying they took her video. The accusations made against her were she did that and she's working with them. Even if you're a commentator, you have a commitment to not spew out false information. So a lot of the commentators, even on the independent left, were literally spewing out false information based on nothing but their emotions and their need to already cancel somebody they've already canceled a long time ago.
And it says ballot harvesting undermines election integrity. John, is that a fair statement?
What is ballot harvesting?
Ballot harvesting is when you allow a third party to grab ballots and hand them in, take them in. So in other words, one person can show up and said, I went and picked up all these ballots from a nursing home and a community center and all these areas. I pick up multiple ballots and I bring them on in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It
undermines election integrity wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And the truth is the truth no matter whose mouth it comes out of.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
The truth is the truth.
We've talked about the chain of custody, how
we've
important
talked about
it is.
this for over a year. Paz and I have been talking about elections for like 3 years. Tulsi Gabbard has been talking about elections for like years as well. She didn't start talking about elections when Veritas mentioned, or when she mentioned Veritas, or they put out their video, or when PragerU mentioned her. She's been talking about elections. So
in fact,
whole,
her bill, right? Her bill is the only one that
mentions
open source versus proprietary. It does, and once again, even in that bill, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's not deep and nuanced. Right here, ballot harvesting. Just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
now it's just start connecting the dots. Like, where are these ballots coming from?
At least people are talking about election integrity right now.
It's like, where are these ballots coming from? Do you even know who has the contract? Everybody in Los Angeles, in the county we live in right now. Yeah. Do you even know who has the contract for the mail-in ballots, where our mail-in ballots are made? What responsibilities they are, how it's exchanged, what happens? You know, we did have an expert on, once again, I keep saying it, Dr. Rebecca Mercury. She talks about, she does a seminar every year at the University of Maryland when she's talking about security and money with checks, cashier's checks, that sort of thing. The lottery. She talks about how if somebody wins a lottery, they know exactly because of tracking what store it came from and at what time. There's securities in that. We don't have that in our elections. We don't have that in our absentee ballots. We don't have it in our mail-in ballots. It needs to be fixed. We need to fix the systemic problems of our election systems. It's systemic, and that's what you should be thinking about. And just because the Democrats are trying to point the finger at Donald Trump and saying he's bad, no, William Barr, dumbass Howie Hawkins, who just mentioned that thing, William Barr quoted Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter said, area that's ripe for fraud. And I think Tulsi's been watching the show. That's why I've been saying ripe for fraud. Thank you, Tulsi.
Yeah, but Barr's not doing anything about it,
I mean,
he's just talking about it. He's not taking any actions. Because Raji sent his writ of appeal to William Barr himself, He sent it.
Well, that's the thing, Johnny.
He could hop on that and be like, see, here's a Democratic candidate in California doing this.
There's only so much. You know what he doesn't want? William Barr just doesn't want the mechanism of the amendment going in to say that they can accept more ballots. He understands there's a cheating system in place that's going to help Donald Trump, too, as well. It's like a cartel.
Well,
they cheat within their own territory.
They're cheating, too. Just as they're pretending to be election integrity savants now, the Republicans, they're not. They're cheating too. Nobody's saying the Republicans aren't cheating. What we're saying is the Democrats are cheating as equally, and they're cheating us. Yeah. They're literally rigging elections for the establishment Democrat, who goes on to lose to the Republican. Hello? What do you think this is all a coincidence? No, this is all perfectly the way it's supposed to go. I can point to what's her name? Amy McGrath. Like she was never the better candidate to go against Mitch McConnell. But it's okay because we're going to pretend that the Democrats tried, right? And we're going to blame it on the progressive. This has been happening for decades, okay? Yeah. So, this is what a lot of the Rose Twitter, which that's why I took off the Rose, because I'm like, you guys are just imperialists who want Medicare for all. So here is Jacob Shaver said Tulsi is getting cringier and cringier. Emma Vigilant and Anna Kasparian were right about her. Okay, and then we have that means they're a Democratic Socialist. Okay.
Is that what the Rose means?
Yeah.
See, I learn
Rose
something
Twitter.
every day.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Oh, Pasta was today years old when he learned what the Rose Twitter was.
Yes.
Fam, I have to go over every single emoji with
Everyone.
you. Okay.
We got emoji class later on.
Okay. The dub is anti-imperialism, Johnny. Okay. Yeah. So Tulsi Gabbard.
What's the rainbow?
The rainbow is LGBTQ. Okay. The wave is neoliberals. The donut is also neoliberals. Okay. So Tulsi Gabbard was always the darling of the dumb left, and I never understood why. And okay, there it is. So this is what these progressives are saying. Dumb left, by the way, sorry to bring this up, A lot of people like him, but Michael Brooks called the Green Party voters and the people who liked Jimmy Dore and stuff the dumb left. So they got that from him. That's the whole Cedar, TYT, Brooklyn contingent that I'm referencing, and that Ben Norton does a great job of referencing as well. Where are we?
What progressive media did.
And let's see. Oh, okay. So let's talk. This is what the progressive media started doing. David Doel, who's never
David Dole.
Oh, whatever. Sorry, David Dole. I don't know. He's never liked Tulsi. We could go back to every tweet that he's ever said about her. He said she's still angling for that Fox News position. I see. Oh,
sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
I'm sure Tucker will have you on to discuss this. So, I mean, anything to say about...
That's typical David Dole shit.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, it's like they can't even talk about the topic, what's going on, and
okay,
the actual problems that are taking place with our ballots.
So I don't even want to play this next one. I just wanted you guys to see the title because I wanted you guys to see how fake news. I don't mean to quote Trump. But fake news.
Who is that?
Spreads. He's a YouTuber that a lot of the neo-progressives like. Tulsi Gabbard praises Project Veritas smear on Ilhan Omar and ballot harvesting.
Look at his ratio.
Yeah.
Holy shit. You talk about 588 up and 461 down.
It should be worse because he's literally lying. He's literally lying. Even if you're a commentator, you have a commitment to truth. And this is not a commitment to truth. He should take this video down because nowhere in my research did Tulsi Gabbard ever say, hey,
Tulsi Gabbard.
Veritas, you're right about Ilhan Omar. She's so horrible. Yeah, totally. I support that. Unless you can find that for me, I'll be the first one to be like, yeah, she absolutely said that. She's got to go. I can't believe she said that. But she didn't say that. She didn't at all. So what you are saying, Crystal, or what's his name? Cristo, is wrong. What you're saying is wrong. And you're in Canada, so I mean, come on.
Dan L. Values says,
No
aloha.
offense to Canadians. I love you
As we're talking about Tulsi, he says aloha. Balakrishna Sastry, Project Veritas, did expose ABC sitting on the Epstein stuff.
Yeah.
So clearly, the occasional they occasionally get some stuff correct. I have that stuff at the end.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that as well. I just kind of pointed
We'll talk about that because
once again, they're not my. I'm not wearing a Project
I have a very
Veritas
strong opinion
t-shirt.
as to what these things are.
I'm not going and asking James O'Keefe for a job. You know, if that's his name, I can't remember. I think it's his name and stuff like that. They obviously have a set agenda. You know what I'm saying? They're obviously going after certain stuff. But your boy, the Humanist Report, what'd he write?
Okay, so he initially said it wasn't long ago when Project Veritas literally created lists or fake news to defend Roy Moore, an alleged pedophile. Anyone who takes Project Veritas seriously is not to be taken seriously. Looking at you, Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, so then he said this, and then he also had posted another tweet where he said Tulsi Gabbard teamed up with PragerU. That didn't take long. Okay, so again, fake news. She didn't team up with PragerU. It was literally them who took her video and made it as their own. I don't think she said anything about it. I looked through her tweets. I didn't see her say anything. And so then he had to go on, and I give him props for this, for correcting the record. But this just shows how we go on emotion on the left. Like, oh, like she did this. Let me just cancel her really quickly. So correction, I was a bit hasty to assert that Gabbard, quote, teamed up with PragerU. They likely repurposed the video. No, they did repurpose the video. They literally took the video. She uploaded to Twitter where she shouted the Project Veritas without her knowing. They've done this with J.K. Rowling and whatnot. Apologies for the confusion. And then he says, I will say, though, that this obsession over vote collecting / ballot harvesting is helping Trump's narrative and that the election will be fraudulent. So it's not surprising that they'd use her content. Still, she gets a pass until she does a real PragerU collab. Okay, so again, doesn't know anything about elections at all because I don't care who says it, Republican or Democrat. Ballot harvesting is also an issue. It is not my top issue in election integrity, but it is most definitely an issue that we have to look at. So, that's wrong. I'm glad he corrected his stance. I give him props for correcting that. But the damage is done when we react emotionally, because then after that, everybody was saying, oh, she collaborated with PragerU. She collaborated with PragerU. Oh, this and that. Why am I spending so much time on this? Is it really because I'm here to defend Tulsi Gabbard? Or is it here because I'm sick and tired of the left being so reactionary to a lot of things that they don't know shit about and trying to polarize and make election integrity a hyper-partisan issue? It's always been an issue that affects, you know who more? Us. You want to get those fucking Democratic socialists in the Democratic Party so we can take it over? Like, you're never going to do that because you think election integrity is the right-wing narrative. Like, I just can't. You guys are so fucking stupid sometimes. I'm so sorry.
It's comical. It's comical, and I put this up on Facebook. It's comical to see these neo-progressives or these
that's what they
people
are
on the left that are actually standing behind the same tactics they used to defeat your boy, Bernie Sanders. The same tactics they used.
Same tactics.
They also used, I'm sure, the tabulation
being manipulated
machines,
by the establishment.
Suppression of the vote when it comes to the long hours. But you don't think that they stuffed the ballot box for Joe Biden when it comes to the mail-ins? You donkeys.
Come on. Bernie had all those people at those rallies, but
yeah. But Biden,
he won fair and square.
We're talking about exit polls that were way off for Biden. What about the pre-polls? He didn't get over 9%. He was around 8%, 7% in all these polls across the board. When it comes to California, never came out here to the Democratic convention, couldn't. And then all of a sudden he gets like 26%. Where do you think that came from, ladies and gentlemen? Why do you think the person in 5th place, Joe Biden, was in the race when Obama made the phone calls, and the guy in 2nd place dropped out in Buttigieg?
Yeah.
It's like he told him, you got to drop out now because our plan is already in place in the areas, and I guarantee you, and here's the thing, you're like, well, Pastor, you have no proof of that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in Los Angeles, we have a 1% audit. So we really can never, ever find out anything. Guess what? We can't look at the machinery. We can't look at the software.
We interviewed multiple poll workers. We looked at exit polls. We interviewed multiple election integrity
Fam went all over the place on election day.
I went all over the place. So, and
that was only front of the house.
That was front of the house. But we also looked at the contracts, right, Johnny?
Yeah, because of Raji's lawsuit, he was able to, through discovery, get access to all these documents.
Yep.
Through discovery that basically says that any administrative person who has access to the damn machine can see the vote count. So when they run the ballots, you have immediate access to see who's winning.
Okay,
what did Anna say, by the way?
Okay, so no, I just want to quickly show what she's mocking Tulsi Gabbard. LMAO, absolutely insane. And then Cenk Uygur, of course, comes in as well. The regular TYT contingent that's always absolutely adored Tulsi Gabbard, right? The Project Veritas story has already been debunked, as usual. It's not only wrong to quote them as a legitimate source, but honestly, it's embarrassing. If you're going to make the switch to the right wing, just do it already and be honest about it. The only person that's made the switch to the right wing, Cenk, is you and your network, who have been pushing Joe Biden, who's a Republican. Yeah. So can we step back?
Is he selling Joe Biden T-shirts now?
I mean, can we? Yeah, he is. Well, I added that, Jonny, later at the end, but this is what I said because you wanted me to put this up because I'm just so done.
I retweeted this
with these freaking people. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just
going
to read the first one. I said I don't think Bernie should call his good friend Joe, or his good friend, just as I don't think Gabbard should say that about Crenshaw, but only one of them is campaigning for Biden, joining the Democratic establishment, pushing Russiagate, and ignoring #Julian Assange. Unlike many, I'm consistent in my criticisms. And so...
you know what you got to do now? You got to just change the lock to the door. She's almost there now when it comes to Bernie. He's out. Bernie's picked up his stuff.
No.
Bernie took his toothbrush. He ain't got nothing left here.
I literally say...
Now you just got to change the locks to the door.
I love Bernie. I will always be thankful for what he did, lighting the fire in me and in other people.
Me too.
But I'm not with him when it comes to his tactics. I'm working with the Democratic Party. I'm working against the Democratic Party and the Republican Party because they're one big party. So I don't really see a difference. He does. We don't agree. But I criticize Bernie. A lot of you don't criticize Bernie. when he does things that are awful, and because Julian Assange doesn't matter to you, because foreign policy doesn't matter to you, so you don't care. But I do both, because you know what?
Civil liberties don't matter to you either.
I'm so sick and tired of people thinking they're so leftist when they're not anti-imperialist. If you're not an anti-imperialist, you're not a leftist.
That's the only reason why I call myself the leftist libertarian, because I want to note the fact that I'm an anti-imperialist and I care about foreign policy and I care about our civil liberties and I care about our elections. Those three reasons are the only reason why I put that name inside my description of myself, because I think those things are so avoided by people on the left and the progressives, fam. It's like they don't even know. And using the situation when she's calling out the simple fact that practicing a ballot harvesting is wrong. It's bad for our chain of custody in our elections, and it should be dealt and done away with.
I wonder if Bernie said it, if people would think differently.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or if AOC said it.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
And she does not smear Ilhan Omar. She stuck up for her before.
She actually stuck up for her when AOC didn't. And by the way, I think Niko wrote an article about it a long time ago. Not a long time ago, a few weeks ago. AOC is not your friend. You can probably find it on that. But this is what Tulsi Gabbard said when Ilhan Omar was attacked over a year ago. We must stand united to condemn religious bigotry, the anti-Muslim bigotry and hate expressed towards Rep. Ilhan Omar. Comparing her to 9/11 terrorists is reprehensible. Why the hell would you think that she agrees with a smear that's anti-Muslim and racist? Because she does. Ilhan Omar, for all her faults, does get smeared by the right in a very disgusting way. Nobody's denying that. In fact, I like people standing up for her because she is an immigrant, etc. And it sucks that she has to deal with that bigotry. But Tulsi Gabbard has never said anything like that against Ilhan Omar. In fact, it has been Ilhan Omar who has been more like this with Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard still was far more supportive than AOC, because AOC didn't want to speak out against AIPAC, if you guys recall that moment.
Yeah. And I just want to say something. When we went to New Hampshire, when we were in the auditorium that first night we went there, I interviewed a lot of people who were there for Tulsi, and I asked them why Tulsi. A lot of them, like about 3 of the 6, said the number one reason was the Securing America's Elections Integrity Act, whatever it is. They really, really stand. But those people, once again, it's not about Tulsi why we support her. It's about the issues. And she was the only one really talking. She's the only one who had a halfway decent election integrity bill.
Yep.
She's come forth with another bill right now. She's the only person who's ever mentioned open source and proprietary software. I'm not saying it's the final answer, but the fact that we have to look at it head on and say, okay, we actually have black box voting. We have software for our votes. The integrity of our votes can't even be in check because we're not even allowed to look into it. She at least mentioned it. So here again, once again, with the tweet you put up, voting rights are essential for our democracy. Securing our elections is essential for our democracy. I've introduced the Securing America's Elections Act that mandates paper ballots to make sure that every single voter's voice is heard. Excuse me.
Can we look at the date of that tweet?
November 20th, 2019. Is that a little video, what she says, or it's like a small one, right?
You want to play it?
Yeah, why not?
Voting rights are essential for our democracy. Securing our elections is essential for our democracy. I've introduced legislation called the Securing America's Elections Act that mandates paper ballots to make sure that every single voter's voice is heard.
Okay.
There you go. I mean, she's been talking about it for a long time.
How can you disagree with that? Like, if you just look at that independently, not knowing who she is, not knowing who her friend is or whatever, how can you not agree with that? Your emotions that are manipulated by the establishment right now get in your way. And then she also talked about this too, where she said, time to end the hand-wringing and take action to protect our elections. My Securing Elections Act will institute backup paper ballots so no one can manipulate our votes and hack our elections. She says no one. She even included the foreign entities too in this bill too, just to cover all her bases. Click on the link and urge Congress to act now. There was a link. You can click on it.
But fam, it's on Fox News. It's right-wing propaganda.
Because Fox News, like often happens, treats progressives way better than they treat than CNN does, right?
And MSNBC.
And MSNBC, Bernie Sanders experienced that.
And I tell you this much, I think Project Veritas is a lot more credible than MSNBC and CNN.
Well, I don't know. I think
MSNBC and CNN has what I'm trying to say is got the same type of practice.
Right.
It's the same type of practice of spewing their left-wing propaganda to their establishment.
Not left-wing.
Establishment, establishment propaganda on us. Johnny, you want to play it real quick, or? All right, next one.
Okay.
Here you go.
Oh, and there's the... Did you want to mention that?
Well, you put it up there. It's the...
Gabbard and Massey,
Senator Paul, Wyden, and Peters introduced a bipartisan bill to unplug internet kill switch, protect our civil liberties.
Yep. So she's the only one that is talking about internet freedoms, right? And securing our internet freedoms and stuff. So my point is she's the only one talking about election integrity. She's the only one talking about your internet freedom. Okay, she sounds kind of like a libertarian. Yeah, she might be, but she's definitely not on the right. She's definitely more of a leftist libertarian. This is why Pasta voted for her.
Yeah. I mean, these are the things. Well, she puts these issues forward right now.
Yeah, she puts these issues
She's got right now. She's on her way out. She's not going to be in Congress anymore, and she's still dropping bills.
How many has AOC introduced? I mean,
comparison. AOC is going to try to take down the advertisement for the military forces on Twitch. Okay. So she's doing something even more.
Though the games themselves would also be the problem, that the games that promote regime change, right?
Well, yeah, they plant in white helmets. Yeah. Johnny can tell you about this. Yeah. What was that? There's one Call of Duty where you're killing Russians or something, Johnny? I can't remember it, but I mean, and the fact is, the average game player on Twitch is supposed to be 22 years old.
And she's the only one talking about surveillance, too. She mentioned the court ruling reaffirms every American's right to privacy.
The next one.
Flagrant government overreach through the NSA program and others show that we cannot stand idly by our freedoms. As our freedoms are undermined, we must stand vigilant and fight for those freedoms. So this is when the NSA
was proven that they were wrong,
right?
Not.
And
it's Snowden was Snowden home.
Yep.
Let him come home. Whatnot. They even show what the NSA did. They did illegally. And she was all over that, and she was ready to do it.
Yeah, she said Snowden should be pardoned. He was a whistleblower who exposed an illegal, unconstitutional mass surveillance program run by NSA, and he was punished for doing so.
Do people realize how bad this is, fam? The fact that the NSA was just spying on its citizens. They were spying on Americans at like 3 or 4 times the rate that they said they were supposed to be looking at the Chinese and the Russians. That was their excuse for doing so. They were spying on you guys. They were spying on progressives. They had the keys to the kingdom to look at you whenever they wanted to. They didn't need any warrants, nothing. And yet, why aren't the Democrats talking about this? Is Ilhan Omar talking about this? Is Ayanna Pressley talking about this? Is Rashida Tlaib talking about this? Where the hell is Bernie Sanders on this shit?
No, they're silent.
I mean, come on. Do you know how important this is, ladies and gentlemen?
It's not important because it's to them. They don't get it. They don't get how important it is.
Well, don't some of them get them when they start seeing their sites get shut down now? I mean, what is it going to...
Are we talking about Bernie or are we talking about somebody else?
I was talking about...
Okay, so...
Come on, people. Wake up to this stuff. People on the left, you need to get more serious about your civil liberties, okay? The NSA and all these CIAs, you can't keep repeating their talking points.
Let me just put it briefly, because we do have to get out of here soon. It's just the fact that you don't know this is a product of the encroaching fascism via our freedom of speech, surveillance, through the Patriot Act that happened, all of that. That is why you guys don't know this and think it's important, because the system has made it that way. So you get this empire education. So you don't get to see truth like this or listen to truth like this. So you don't get to watch shows like this because we get demonetized and censored and all this stuff. And you think I'm making it up. I'm not. You could talk to any independent media who are friends of ours that experience the same exact freaking thing, especially the Assange people, more than anybody. These people who have been on the ground doing vigils, Slow News Day, Action for Assange, Unity for Assange, all these people covering, Dick Medhurst also has been demonetized. All these people, these are the people that they really want to shut down. That's why it's important to us, because if we get shut down, you guys don't get to know about this and hear my anger.
Controlling the narrative too as well. By the way, what is TYT doing?
Yeah,
Comrade says, "Holy balls! They're hawking Blue Wave and Biden merch now. Yikes! Mom, sorry for saying holy balls. I had to read a tweet over there. Yeah. My mom gets mad when I use foul language and stuff. So I apologize, Mom, but I had to read it and stuff like that. We instantly had it on debate night. You can get it now at the shop TYT. What was it saying? Will you shut up, man? Oh my God, that's so.
So they're selling Biden merch
with the Nancy Pelosi shit like this.
Yeah, so they're selling Biden merch, but Tulsi's a Republican, right? So why is it okay for her not to, why is it not okay for her to like shout out Dan Crenshaw, but it's okay for them to shout out Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and didn't Cenk say he wanted Hillary Clinton to be like the Supreme Court judge recently?
Just nominate her.
Stupid shit like that. They're like, both sides to me are warmongers, and I hate them all. And like, unless, you know, if, at one point, if I was a congressperson, you have to sit down and talk to everybody. You have to sit down and talk to Joe Biden, the neoliberals, and the Republicans. So she might have to do that. This is why Bernie Sanders says, my friend Joe. She says, my friend Dan Crenshaw. Oh, well, are you going to tell me that Joe isn't worse than Dan Crenshaw? I don't know. You guys, I really...
Joe Biden is worse than Dan Crenshaw.
He's done a lot more damage than Dan Crenshaw. So where's the hypocrisy here? I don't understand the smear campaign and everything. I thought we were done. She's literally not even running for anything right now.
Yeah.
So what the fuck's, like, why is this attention so diverted? And I just want to say as we close out that I think Project Veritas and QAnon and these right-wing sites, I think they are a CIA psyop now, because the more they put some truths in there around it, but then when people believe them, the truths, they call them right-wingers, and then they put some fake crap in there to discount the reality. It happens with the child sex trafficking, with the pedophilia, and it's happening right now with the election issues. Because if they can put it in there, the CIA can discredit it and just be like, oh, look, see, you're a right-winger if you believe in this. It's all fake. But it's not all fake, and they do this on purpose. That is what I think. I think it's all a psyop used to control people from seeing the truth in what's in those things.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
You know, Project Veritas has done some stupid work at times too, as well. You know, like sometimes they've done decent work, sometimes they've done good work, and you have to take it for what it is. A lot of times they just drop videos of videos they get. I just put up some examples real quick. I said the Cullen, he put up a great tweet, and this is true too. When you watch their video on what happened, it says, thinking they saved this for debate day, I will say this for Project Veritas. The work they did exposing CNN's marching orders on Russiagate was spot on, and you can't deny this stuff. Later on, we all found it to be true. You know, a lot of people on the left were like, "Oh, they got low-level staffers in CNN to spill their beans over happy hours."
By the way,
and, you know, and I mean, and it was some good work when they had that, and they had all the receipts to back it up. They showed that people at CNN were told, you got to cover Russiagate despite anything, push everything aside, Russiagate, 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 Russiagate. They got exposed for doing it. Project Veritas was there. The Epstein situation, nobody wanted to release that video of Amy Robach. They released it, whatnot. They showed that people within the press, within our mainstream media, were told to shut up and sit down, do not talk about Jeffrey Epstein. And then, of course, we had the Zach Voorhees situation. Zach Voorhees was on our show. Jonny and I, when we did it, Jonny even said he did the research where we found out that he did work at YouTube, so we know he did work there. I can't speak to the validity of the information. It seemed he had a lot of the receipts. A lot of the dots were connected, fam. He explained how, how they shut down Tulsi Gabbard. Remember when she went after, was it Tim Ryan that night, I think it was, and they shut down her website. He explained to the T how they did it, and that they knew it did it. He said there was bugs in the system. They actually tried to do one of those, what happens when you go there and you try to make sure they're okay. You send the police. It's the checkup wellness thing where they're checking up on you as a mentally ill person, and if you make a mistake, they kill you. Like they tried to kill that kid the other day who was mentally ill. So they had one of those situations. Zach Voorhees had it all on film. They showed up. They did a wellness check on him. So Project Veritas has released some stuff that has been credible, I think, at times. Not always. The shit with Bernie, the shit with the baby parts, the right-wing narrative that they're trying to... They're not like WikiLeaks to the point where WikiLeaks will expose everybody.
Yeah, you can't compare WikiLeaks will expose everybody. They have 100% credibility rate.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think it was a bad idea of her to mention them, but I don't think she highlighted them like people are saying or prop them up. She literally just said, this video in this particular situation is true. I think all these people are full of crap. I think they're all a bunch of hypocrites. I think the Demsoc left is doing a lot of damage by not looking at foreign policy, imperialism, and civil liberties. And I think they need to literally not focus on Tulsi Gabbard and maybe focus on, hey, we, Bernie's campaigning for Biden and stuff. What's your next choice? What are we doing? Are we going to organize? Are we going to stop putting all this shit on politicians that are going to disappoint you every single time? time, because it's not like I didn't go after her when she endorsed Joe Biden, or I didn't go after Bernie when he endorsed Joe Biden and then started campaigning for Joe Biden. So you know what? Like, I'm just done with this hypocrisy. If you guys want to pretend that you're telling the truth, you can go ahead and do that, but it's completely fake. We just debunked this whole thing here, and that's that.